Many people compare Kathmandu to places in India or places in Tibet. But in reality, the city is truly a unique place in our world. There's few places where multiculturalism, spiritualism, and religion are so intertwined with urban life. Temples stand side by side with shops, clubs, and restaurants. Monks can be praying on one side of the street while kids rock out to heavy metal on the other side. The place is saturated with color, both metaphorically and physically speaking. About a month ago, I passed through Kathmandu to film an episode of 36 Hours for the travel section. Most of our time was spent in and around the city's ancient sites and temples. And the one thing that makes the city so unique is that these places are public places where people gather and socialize and do business. However, most of these sites are made up of fired bricks, mud mortar, and aging timber. These places are often over 500 years old.
working their way through the ruins, using their hands or any other tool available. It's a precarious and dangerous task. They stop briefly for water, then continue. These historic sites once stood proud for hundreds of years in the centre of Kathmandu. Then they fell like a pack of cards on Saturday. Small groups of security personnel and volunteers sift through the rubble painstakingly, hopefully trying to find any survivors if they can. It's a difficult task and is only stopped when there's another tremor or when the sun sets. The rescue and relief operation continues with medics working around the clock to help the injured or seriously wounded. It's a tough job. The death toll is already in the thousands, and that's just in the capital. From the air, the destruction is clear. While hundreds are still stranded at the airport, it's peak tourist season, and many will be returning home with horrific memories. The larger problem is aid being flown into Kathmandu airport. It only has one runway. While the world sends help, the logistical challenge is getting it out to the people that need it most.
Ruined villages on every mountainside. No one is here to help, so they're getting on with it by themselves. But this isn't rebuilding. It's about clearing up the best they can, attempting to recycle the timber and rubble to build temporary shelter. More than a week after the quake, there are no tents, not even any basic plastic sheeting. Further down the mountainside, Krishna Bahadur Khadka, a proud family man, works away. Everyone is helping. He struggles to hold back tears.
Our lives have gone. How can we rebuild? What can I say? Where will we get help? Who will help?
This is what's been stopping anyone reaching villages beyond Krishna's home. Landslides caused by the quake and aftershocks. The road ahead has been blocked for more than a week. Our vehicle is one of the first to get through. The road ahead is treacherous. No aid convoys here. You can see how much aid is needed, though, with one glance at the village of Tade. Out of 90 homes, only 4 are left standing. Army patrols pass through, but they're tasked with assessments, searching for missing people, including foreigners. Small amounts of food have been left for them, but helicopters pass by on other missions. This is an all too familiar scene, so many villages like this one decimated. The people show a remarkable resilience, but will it be enough to face what lies ahead? Unless there's rapid assistance, Raj Kumar Tamang, who has a wife and baby, doesn't think he'll be able to cope.
We have nothing. However much we dig, there are only stones. We have no food. How will we survive?
And that's what it comes down to, survival, not just hardship. And the rain and cold of the monsoon season could be only a month away.
This is Patan Darbar Square, what used to be one of the most beautiful places in Kathmandu. Generations of my family have grown up in this neighborhood. This is where my children would come in the mornings to feed the pigeons and run around the square, just as I did when I was a child. Nobody is here to feed the pigeons now.
A few hours before the earthquake struck, I was here talking about the importance of preserving architectural heritage. And now, as you can see, there isn't much left. There have been major temples which have just gone down.
Up north, the ruins of the once beautiful Radhakrishna temple is being cleared.
Up there is Jiten, a very good friend who's also been responsible for saving many of the architectural sites over here. Jiten!
We thought there was nobody buried, so we just cleaned the roads, but now there might still be someone underneath here.
My hometown is a maze of narrow alleys. On the day of the earthquake, our team went straight out to shoot in the neighborhood. These are some of the scenes. My grandmother's old neighborhood had several people buried in the rubble. We try to go there now, but the alleys are all blocked. We wander through the houses and gardens where people have taken shelter. On every other corner, there is a collapsed building blocking the alleys. They found 10 bodies in this neighborhood.
So apparently it's in here, it's really dark and scary.
There were many people here, including police. Our sister-in-law, her arms are full of wounds. She survived. She's staying in that shed.
8-year-old Ritesh is very scared. He huddles with his mother, Reena. She tells me she lost her husband and her other son. My aunt, my uncle, my cousin too, Ritesh says. They've gone far away.
And every morning I hope that it was a nightmare, but it's not. I mean, you don't wake out of this nightmare. It's a continuation. And Nepal has no choice but to rebuild, and hopefully I can give a better tour next time.
Around the village of Dukuchap in Lalitpur, locals line up to get treated by a team of doctors. This is the first medical team in the village since the earthquake struck on Saturday, destroying most of the houses here. Kalpana Tamang and her daughters have been suffering from stomach cramps.
The water is thick and smelly, but we have to drink it.
Many patients have diarrhea and have been vomiting. Some in the queue seem to be dazed. Besides diarrhea, 2-year-old Riwaz has skin infection. Behind him, 2-year-old Amish stares on.
He has bad diarrhea. Our house is too dangerous to go back to.
Army doctors from Bangladesh have come to help out the Nepal army.
We are providing support at grassroots level, so 1 week or more, this support will be continued. The long term, to prevent the outbreak of epidemics and other chronic diseases like diarrhea, skin diseases, the long-term planning has to do by their government.
The collapse of the existing health system is what concerns medical officers working in the field. The army has been coordinating all the international medical teams which have come to help.
Quite a few of the villages, the health posts, the hospitals that were there, they have been totally disrupted. Now the foreign medical teams that are here in Nepal, I think they will start moving out within a week or two. But our plan is that other medical teams which can come here and stay for a longer duration, probably for 3 to 6 months in the midterm. So probably we'll be sending these teams to those areas where the health posts and where the hospitals have been destroyed.
Back in the village, those who are not physically sick are in shock. Many say they're afraid to sleep. They hope to get some medication from the doctors who will be here for 1 more day. But once the medical team leaves, they will be left to fend for themselves once again.
Even at the best of times, health system in Nepal has been rather poor. For this village of Dukuchap, the only health post is half an hour further up, and the only thing that they have is paracetamols.
Not everyone has toilets, and people defecate openly in the streets. Water has been contaminated in areas like this, increasing the risk of epidemics.
Tired of waiting, they've decided to act.
Our local volunteers are using their own transportation. They're going to relief missions on their bikes and reaching the hard-hit areas.
In this Kathmandu college building, they're charting the extent of the disaster, collecting donations, deploying in order to deliver medical supplies, food, and much more.
What's happening here is truly remarkable. Youth activists, students, and others, they've taken matters into their own hands, and now they're doing all they can to make sure they can deliver aid to those here who need it most.
Going to areas the Nepalese government and other international aid groups haven't yet reached. anyone is welcome to join, for one simple reason.
There's no proper mobilization of youths who are ready to help.
It's why their mission is so vital. For even in this country's capital, suffering can still be seen almost anywhere you look. One reason anger is only growing.
We are concentrated on
a sentiment this group resists.
It's a disaster and we all need to cope up together and stick together and just be optimistic regarding what's happening all around us.
With street scenes like these a disturbing new reality, it's a homegrown message of hope and resolve needed more than ever. Right now, it's the essentials that are needed most.
We started this because tents are really hard to get in Kathmandu because we scoured the whole city to buy tents, and there was a big inflation of tent prices as well.
With so many left homeless by the earthquake, makeshift open-air camps have sprung up throughout the capital. People whose houses are still standing are often too afraid to return to them. Shelter is a priority. With a shortage of tarp in Nepal, these partners had to get creative. This material, called flex roll, is typically used for advertising signs. They're buying it on credit, selling some of the finished tents at the price it costs to manufacture, and donating the rest.
So you were saying that this is really only just a temporary solution, right?
Yes, it is.
That's because the tents made here will last only about 20 days, which isn't even long enough to be of help during monsoon season, which is rapidly approaching. Still, with more volunteers coming to the workshop every day, they've been able to produce more than 1,300 tents. Keeping dry is but one worry. Killing germs quite another. But far more difficult is getting it delivered to the hardest hit areas, where there's a lack of adequate sanitation. Protection from the elements and prevention of diseases are important enough. But of even more concern at the moment is nourishment. Here, members of this Sikh community center have banded together to prepare much-needed food. Peeling, chopping, stirring, and cooking, this is a huge collective effort.
Volunteers here tell us they're making enough food to feed thousands of people every day, that their teams are delivering this food, and that they're also giving food to the military to distribute.
With Nepal under such enormous strain, the pressure here won't end anytime soon. Those suffering need the very basics. At a time like this, when the flow of aid is clogged and the delivery of necessities is slow, every little bit helps.